it.
Yes, hello, Gabriela.
Hello, Kristoffer.
I started to share my necessity or the origin to asking for the space and asking for this conversation. And that is that I noticed in myself and in other men that there is a tendency of falling back into an experience that is from childhood. And what I noticed is, for example, we are doing this practice called Let Your Little Boy Speak. And man goes through different layers of an experience that has been imprinted in them in their childhood. And often the man arrives or we arrive at the space or a place where there is a huge neediness and the feeling of it's not going to be fulfilled. And I noticed it's reoccurring. Like there's one practice and one process from one man, and the next time it's the same. So I was wondering what are doorways out there or what are doorways to go a different path. And I had a conversation with Leonard and he showed me a map. And then I asked him, okay, can we have a conversation about it? And he said, I would recommend talking about with Gabriela about it. And so I wrote you, and I'm really looking forward to explore this topic and also the map and your experience from your past and your experience. Yeah.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad about that conversation because this map that you invited me to explore, it's called Child Ego State map. It's something that I've been exploring myself, like in my own process, and also with people I hold space for. And I found very powerful to start recognizing child ego state needs. Um, so yeah, I'm glad going going that conversation with you today.
Yes. And as I am planning to share this video with other men and also the village, I want to share that map. And I'm not quite sure, so please give me feedback. What do you think about sharing it? And also, like, we can share it just for a couple of moments for like a context setting of the map. So also someone else who's watching this recording has a better idea than just, yeah, on a verbal level. What do you think about that?
Mhm. Yeah, I just have it here,
Okay.
um, and I can share my screen,
Yes.
and we start from there. Um, just opening the picture. Can you see?
It's building up. Yeah, now.
Great. The first time I experience not experienced, but that I received this map was in the child egoist adult decontamination work talk that Vera Franco and Anna Norbuena held about 2 years ago. And this was the time when I was starting to look at wanting to start a decontamination of my adult ego state with a coach. So this was the first time I had contact with this map. And since then I started experimenting and really experiencing, not just mentally but in a daily basis, with discovering what does that mean, that map.
Hmm.
So the main distinction of this map, So first, before going to the child ego state specifically, we human beings, we have this fantastic capacity of shifting identity without even noticing. So identity is a collection of behaviors, resources, limitations, ways of speaking, ways of thinking, uh, ways of moving the physical body, ways of dressing, um, and each identity is a whole universe by itself. And we are trained like we are it's very common for us to shift identity very fast without noticing. And one way that I noticed that was with children, for example. The last days I've been a lot with children here in New Zealand, and I was with Leo, one of the children we were playing, and he was speaking with his voice, and then his father came, and then he started whining, and he shifted into this whole physical position, and he's 4 years old, and he was speaking with me and playing, and then his dad came, and he's like, Dad, I want to eat, but I want to eat, and he shifted completely. It was like another person. I was like, where is Leo that I was just talking a second ago? And I asked him, and he said like, he's gone. and and I was pretty surprised with that. I just stopped the map sharing for now, and then when I come back to this, I open again. So I was pretty surprised with how fast it happened for this 4 years old boy shifting identity. So he shifting to this whining, uh, complaining identity of wanting food. And this happened with all of us all the time, that we shift identity without noticing that we are shifting. And in possibility management, we distinguish between three main identities or three ego states that we call. So it's called ego because it's an identity. It's connected with our box. And it's called state because it's not frozen. It's not static. It's always changing. So it goes from one to another very fast. So ego state, it's because of that. And then we have this map of the 6 ego states. That is parent ego state, child ego state, adult ego state. And then there's gremlin ego state, demon ego state. Actually, it's 5, I think. Yeah, it's 5 actually. And I would just focus for now on the parent, adult, and child. And the way that I experience in myself, it's like I would draw another map. So let's say that this is my heart, and my heart is my adult ego state. I'm in the present moment. I'm in the now. I'm centered. I'm grounded. I don't have stories going on. I'm talking with you and I'm talking with you. I'm not thinking, I'm not seeing or projecting my father or my friend when I was a teenager or someone else. And this present moment is the adult ego state. So in this place, everything is possible. You have access to everything. You have access to ask for what you want, sourcing what you want. You have access to, say, like, I want you to praise me now because I really would love to experience how it is someone praising me. Because I have this child like fantasy of how it is to be praised by someone. Will you do that? And a person could then say like, no way, I'm not interested in that. And you say, all right, thank you. And I will ask the next person, I want to find someone to praise me. So the adult ego state has this power of creating anything, from the most ridiculous to the most fabulous, or it can create anything. Um, so this is the adult ego state. And what happens is that we grew up and we developed several survival strategies. And part of them is to contaminate our adult ego state.
Mm.
And I will get there what is contaminate. But first, I want just to draw this. So let's say that this is the parent ego state. I would draw P. Let's say that this is the child, and this is the gremlin. I will not enter there, but just to represent. So gremlin ego state, child ego state, and parent ego state.
Mm.
So parent ego state is rules like, I don't know, tell me a rule you have usually that is like with your partner, for example, or with someone you live close.
Like, I have this huge rules about honesty and loyalty, and I notice that I create stories around it, and it's not universal. It's I make them up, and I make the graduation of them up. Sure, there's honesty, but what the definition in detail is completely my story, and I experienced that because I put so much value on it, especially in relating spaces, friendships, clients, and whatever. I create also drama with that because I make more out of the reality than it actually is.
Right. And what is the story like? What is the definition that that you have of honesty?
For example, I I'm very sensitive and I used to be more sensitive about when I have this impression people are talking behind my back. And when I had the slightest sign, even though I haven't been there, I was sure it is. So I created the story. People were talking behind my back without really knowing it, just from getting some signs. And this is what I mean with that I create stories out of it. And actually, the purest form of honesty for me is when I'm one to one with a person and I can sense and I can ask and I can reassure myself or ask questions or say, okay, can you please tell that again? So I get a sense. And even then, there are different realities or different truths meeting each other. So. Yeah, I'm losing up on that rule that I put on relating spaces.
And how does it look like? It's like you should, because rules they are very dry, you know, it's like
Yeah,
it comes with
yeah,
this, you must or you should.
yeah. You shouldn't talk behind someone's back. You just only tell the person in the face what you think. So it's not even possible to share an experience with someone else. This is the downside of this rule about someone, or share maybe an emotion or a feeling, because that would already mean breaking the rule. So
Mm-hmm.
it puts the other person into a position where it's not possible to share or get support, for example. Like
Yeah.
this is,
You should not talk about anyone
yeah,
behind, like that is not directly to this
yeah,
person.
yeah. And
Yeah. So the rule is really like that. It's very limiting in the sense that it's not connected at all with how things are, and it feels very righteous, and it's part of this parent ego state identity that has these rules of how things should be, how you should relate with the world, how how you should be honest,
yeah,
how you should be loyal. Loyalty should be like that. If you're loyal to me, you should tell me everything that you're thinking about me all the time.
mm,
Otherwise, you're not loyal and you're not honest.
right.
And I cannot relate with you. I cannot trust you.
Mm,
So the parent ego state identity has that and I can see your gremlin smile, and
Yeah,
gremlin plays a big game on that. It's it has that taste of certainty and conviction and how things should go.
yeah,
So this is the parent ego state. The gremlin is ego state is something completely else that I would not enter right now. Partly because I did not research it so much, and partly because what I notice is that parent and child really goes on the first layer, and gremlin is more like connected really with addiction and with a lot of other stuff that goes after that.
and
So
Gabriela,
yeah.
I want to share a personal experience that's completely connected to what you are sharing in the last week that I experienced. And I was at a family gathering, and in the last years after my divorce, I had some unconscious revenge going on. And what I was practicing in the last years during family gathering is these conversations are so boring. Like these are so just touching the surface. They are not deep. And I was going into this victim state of what a poor guy I am being in this family and not having any possibility of changing it. And last week there has been, let's call it a conflict, but it wasn't a conflict. It was a conversation with emotions involved. But in my family and my mother's part, there is this harmony dictatorship. So someone expressing his feelings, expressing anger also is immediately breaking the biggest rule because it's breaking harmony. So I did that, and I made very clear that my intentions for this family gathering are good. And I was there, and I was sitting there, and I was neutral, and I was open. And then I noticed my old strategy, my old reality creeping in of judging people. And then I decided, okay, what is it what I want? And this is this deep conversation. So I noticed, okay, who's sitting around me? And I was starting these conversations. And this experience makes it very clear what I heard from you about, yeah, about the different ego states and also how we can numb ourselves, because I used to numb myself to not feel the pain. And I went into this victim state of just withdrawing from the space and from the people who there. And actually, what I want is this connection. But I didn't took care for it. I was having this expectations of they should create it, and when they create it, I will have the space or I will have the experience that I need. And it's not working. And I'm touched and joyful at the same time about discovering this portal, this possibility of stepping out of this old story. And yeah, I just wanted to bring that
Mm-hmm.
because I was sitting there for years in this old story and in this old reality. And now I'm curious about the possibilities that are opening up and how the relating is changing or is healing because it was different before I decided to took revenge or having the story of they haven't been loyal to me in the divorce phase. Right. That was it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what you're describing really describes what I want to get into, that is this experience of the child ego state identity, that is really this position of spectator. If you really observe children, they even like in the beginning, the first 2 3 years, they're really dependent. They're fully dependent. And
Mm.
even to clean their butt, I was a 3 years old girl, and it's like, I'm ready, like, to clean her butt, because she could not do that yet. She's learning how to do it. And and so this dependence, it's real in the childhood, and is the phase where we need the outside to provide us with our needs. So childhood is this phase where we need the outside to source everything for us, from the physical foods, and survival, such as food, shelter, warmth, uh, physical touch, to all the other human aspects as, you know, communication, um, mm, love, eye contact, energetic decoding messages of adventure, like this need for adventure, for for experimenting, for exploring. So as children grow, I notice that around like I don't age doesn't match much, but like the difference between this 2 years old girl I was with and the 7 years old is so huge because the 2 years old needs a lot of containment and holding. She's all the time wanting holding. And the 7 years old, he wants nature. Like he's all the time, I want to climb the tree now. I want to do this. So there are different needs, and that we don't have the inner skills yet to source that for ourselves. And in a healthy culture, the the path, it would be designed for adults, initiated adults, to provide and to hold space for children to grow into learning these skills, to start sourcing the needs for themselves. So the maturation in a psychological level, in a physical level, can start happening. And what I notice in modern culture is that it happens in a certain degree. For example, in physical food, I I've I've most people I've met, they know how to clean their butt, they know how to cook a food, they know how to make money, even though they are selling their souls for the system. They make a what they call a living. Um, so they learn how to provide the basic needs. But I would say that really little of us learn how to provide I call existential needs, or soul and energetic body and emotional body needs. So as we lack the skills to do it, so our gremlin does for us. And this was a question that I started exploring in the gremlin transformation chapter 0. There was with Anna and a group of 7 women, 8 women, so we are 9. And the question was, what is your gremlin doing for you that you are not doing? So it was really this deep research question of that my survival is doing for me what I've not learned how to do yet. And this was a big shift in my path because I discovered that it's not just healing. Because I was really focused in emotional healing process, and it's a part of the work to do emotional healing process because it unglue the identities. It creates a gap to do emotional healing process. But it was missing something for me. And it was really missing this focus in learning to identify the identity and shift the identity and learn the skills that I did not learn as I was growing up, as nature designed us to during teenagerhood, to childhood, adolescence. I did not learn the skills I needed to provide these basic needs for myself. And then my focus shifted in this, wow, what can I do to learn these things? So my gremlin doesn't need to be taking care all of that. And I can take responsibility for providing these things for myself.
Mm.
So this was a big key for me. And it's as I'm speaking, it seems that it's happening things for you. So before I keep going with the map I was drawing, I want to
Mhm.
pass to you and I want to hear what is that, especially what you're feeling, because I noticed things were moving in you as I was speaking.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this experience about firstly, I'm sad about the fact that I grow up in a culture, and most people I know grow up in a culture where just the physical needs are focused on. For example, when I see children and they cry, most of the time parents feed them. They give them something to eat or they distract them with a game or with a story. So from my own experience and from my own journey of transformation and healing, I know that I just wanted to have a space held, a whole space, and I didn't need it. Many of the proposals or offerings my parents gave to me. And growing up, anger, aggression, and violence was part of my strategy of getting what I want, even though it didn't work, but it somehow during my life I made this conclusion, this is the way. And actually it didn't work. And when I confronted myself with that, like because it was like Groundhog Day, like there was this aggression, this anger coming up in relating spaces. And there was a point where I noticed, okay, it's not about the woman. It has something to do with me. I am the one who's carrying something that needs to be looked at. And when I looked at it, what I noticed is that my anger or my aggression came up when there was unmet needs. But I was completely blind to what needs do I actually have because the physical needs there were met.
Yes.
But there were needs under needs of my being, or as you said, needs of my soul, and I didn't had a clue of what these needs are. And I started to track down the past, like every time when anger or aggression came up, or this anger against someone, I was noticing, okay, what needs have been not met, and I was trying to track it back. And yeah, this is the journey I'm still on. I'm figuring out what are the needs and how can I cater for them or care for them. Yeah, and this is happening while listening to you because it's a journey and it's yeah, it's quite some experiences and yes, I'm walking. I'm taking my steps. And it just touches me also looking around um, in the city where I live and my family of how children are treated, and I know the intentions are best, and I know from my own experience that there are different needs beside having this la la music or some sweets or a snack or I tell you a story or look over there. Yeah, and this is yeah, I'm touched by that. I feel sadness about it. As I see also so many other men being on this path and also discovering this landscape, and I see there is no map that is working for a general. Like it's an individual exploration. Yeah,
It's a craft.
yeah.
It's really, and it's part of the identity of the child ego state to want a recipe.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really a craft, a unique craft of of your path.
Mm.
So all that I'm sharing here is really could be you can take or whoever is watching as inspiration or questioning or anger, or resistance or emotions or triggers um, for your next thing. But it's not a how can I say a
Not a receipt.
script,
Yeah,
a script
yeah.
of how to proceed to become completely adult person because this is this is a fantasy.
Mm.
And what I really experience is the joy. and the celebration, like you said, in the family, when it happens, that you can create what you want, and that is connected with this sparkle of your being. And then when this happens, for me, this is what fuels me to keep going and trying things out. When I was like, ah, yes, I could be with my partner for one whole day without low drama. Yeah, it's like yes,
Mm.
yes, you know. And this is a question that I have, and it's like, what does it fuel your transformation?
Mm.
What is the thing in you that fuels you to take your next step? Because if it's parent ego state, if it's pressure
Mm.
of I should be better, I should fix myself, I should um I should not be a good boy, I should get done already, I should get over it, or I should not have emotions like that anymore, I should not be needy, then it's not sustainable and it's not fun in the sense that is fulfilling. Um and and there are other ways to find that, and this is one of the ways I found it, is really like I want I want more of that, to have how would be life 4 days without no drama with my partner. I don't know yet because I'm not there yet, but I'm curious because I want to get to know how it is.
Mm.
4 full days without low drama. So this is part of my feel. And what I want to bring about this map
Mhm.
is that as we grow up in a culture that does not support growing up and taking more responsibility, we build survival strategies to not be in the here and now, to not be in this adult ego state. And one of the ways is that we contaminate these different identities, and then they occupy space in our heart. And it looks like a little bit like that. So
Mm.
when it's if you look at the space available for relating, for creating what you dream, it's like it doesn't have much room
Yeah.
available because it's so filled
Yeah.
with these unmet needs of childhood and with these expectations and these rules and how life should be and how people should be, that it does not have much space. And this is not static. Sometimes with a person, I have like this completely full, and with some other people, it's less. There's more space available because different people triggers different things up for healing and for transforming. So this is the ego states, and the contamination of the adult ego state happens when you have no gap between you and this identity. So there is a righteousness of it is like that. This is real. And this is the contamination that I'm calling contamination. And I will give an example because it took me a while to get what does that mean.
Mm.
So the behavior that I'm working right now on the decontamination with Anna is about significance, about being acknowledged or being received in enthusiasm. So it happens a lot, especially in my relationship with Leonhard, but also in several other relationships, that I create something. For example, I created a website and I wanted to share this website, and I had this expectation that um, I wanted back then. I was saying I have the wish that someone will see the website and it would say something like, "Wow, this is incredible! Like, how did you create that? Like, tell me more. What inspires you about that?" And I wanted some and I don't want actually someone. I wanted Leonhard to meet me when I show him, and I said, "Leonhard, would you check the website for me?" And he said yes. And then I bring the website to him, and he's looking, and I was with that hidden expectation. And then when he meets me in his way of appreciation, that was completely different than what I played. He basically looked at it and said, "Cool."
Mhm.
Wow! It's like an outburst of emotions comes to the surface. And and the difference from just a pure emotion is that I enter in the whole identity of this child. So I my posture started going like this, and I started withdrawing, and I got silence. So the physical body changes, and then my thoughts started happening of he don't see me, like he again and again he don't see what I'm doing. I dedicated so much time to this website, and he just can say cool.
Mhm.
And then sadness, so feelings, thoughts, and body. And then I started feeling sadness, like this sadness. And then I started feeling angry and blaming him. You don't see me, you don't appreciate me, you don't treat me with respect. And what happened is that when I was there, and for like 5 days, I was really righteous about it. And
Mhm.
I thought this was real. And this is the contamination, is that it's so interesting, is that when you are inside, you really think that is real. And no matter what the person says, you hold on your your wound, your wooden, like this identity.
Yeah.
And it's very strong. So the decontamination journey is really of learning to break the pattern. And this takes work, and it takes like um already some basic work. And I mean, I think different contexts does in different ways. The context that I'm doing is in possibility management, and is with Ana Buena, and uh, is in coaching sessions. Um, and it requires some groundwork. But the main thing I'm work for about 2 years with some interruptions is identifying these patterns and learning to break the pattern
Mhm.
in the moment when it happens. And some patterns are very strong, and I need to do some EHPs or some um, bigger processes about to break the pattern. And breaking the pattern is really happens in the moment, uh, going non-linear, like bananas are green and growing trees because they are yellow.
Mhm.
This was I did 3 days ago. Or just moving the physical body, or starting feeling glad for no reason and just laughing. Whatever, it doesn't matter what, but anything that can crack.
Yeah.
And I feel that I went a little bit further, and I want to come back to the original map that we were in.
Yes.
So this map is about the child ego state specifically. And the main fuel, so if you imagine gasoline is the fuel for a car, the main fuel for the child ego state is the unmet needs of childhood. And and as an adult, having child needs is mostly the non-physical ones. And it might be much more than what is listed, but we distilled five. That is the main common, that is the big umbrella of the needs, the unmet child needs.
I was looking at that map and reading it to someone these days, and I noticed also significance. There was a huge inside of me, this is it, what I want. Or, and what I experience is I want to be seen. I want to be also sometimes be in the spotlight. And when I don't receive that feedback, then I'm disillusioned is not the right word, enttäuscht. I'm not finding the right word in English. And I just noticed when I go on with that, because I withdraw then and be frustrated, I will not be able to share my gifts and to share what I can give to the people around me and to a bigger context. So I
Mm-hmm.
really want to transform or change or learn. And also the other ones, they are also different where where I notice, okay, this is happening. And I'm really happy that you bring the map out now. So everyone or that watches can have a glimpse also where is like this, this sounds familiar.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And the what I would say, yes, that these needs, they can manifest in different kind of ways. And what I find important about this map is that these unmet needs from childhood that manifest in this identity, they it's a grieving process when you really experience or let it in your heart that they will never be met. Like the needs that you as a child needed when you were a child, the need for love, for an adult that could really love you unconditionally, not because you behaved well, not because you did the right thing or because you got 10 at school, but unconditionally, that this, it will never happen.
Okay, so you're saying this is yeah like a fantasy world out from childhood, which we still hold on as adults. And
Yes. And it's really a crack that happens or a grieving process when you accept that this what you needed as a child will never happen because it's in the past, because you cannot become a child anymore. So as you can, these unmet needs, they will never be met for the child, for the child, like for you as a child. So the picture that I got when I was going through the, especially the first year, was the image of a thirsty ghost
Mhm.
that that is like eating, 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 and it does never get satisfied. So like no matter how much appreciation I receive from people, I don't feel significant because I'm trying to feed that child, that hungry child that is longing for significance. Or no matter how much adventure I do, no matter how much I do, become nomad, I travel the world, I try new things, I do everything, but I still have that hunger of adventure in this identity in the child ego state is unsatiating, is how can I say, unfulfilling. And it's this experience of always needing more, always there's no contentment. It's this thirsty and this hunger.
Yeah,
And
because yeah,
yeah, go.
because the experience is missing because the adult ego state is contaminated and it comes out of this I need it, but I'm not even in the state of receiving it while experiencing it. Maybe, for example, receiving appreciation or being in an adventure. Like I've been in the most beautiful spaces so far, and I couldn't really grasp the experience because inside of me something else was happening.
Mm,
So I'm yeah, I I I track it back to this contamination also.
Mm. Yeah, so this is the main distinction to navigate is like that needs that no matter how much you try to provide or that you surround yourself with people that provide this to you, like you always create friendships with people that are nice to you, that never disappoint you, that just that are completely adaptive. So you always get this sense of long belonging and significance. And even though you get that, there is this friction or this discontentment that you are not getting this what you really want. And this is the child ego state contamination that is this hungry ghost. And the main thing or the distinction I'm experiencing is that when you can create the gap, when you can really unglue the child ego state a little bit from your heart and create a gap in this precise moment, you can access this power of providing this what you want really for yourself now. And like, how does it look like? It's not really like child inner, some people sometimes confuse with inner child work. So it's like trying to give to my child what she did not get. And in my experience, this is does not work so much in my experience because it is like trying to feed the past and is really exhausting.
Yeah.
And sometimes for people in the beginning of the work, especially who had a lot of physical abuse, for example, it works to start relating with themselves with more compassion. But in a long term, this does not empower growth of, okay, as a child, I really wanted my mother to recognize me and appreciate me for who I am. And I did not got that. And I feel really sad because I really wanted that. And now I want to create things that I may not never be recognized for. And I want to still create them. So in the I want to check if you is that clear? If you fear that is not so clear.
No, for me, it's clear what you're saying. And I completely relate to that. Like the inner child works as far as I get it, and is also, yeah, like replaying something and thinking that something in here and now can be healed. And my experience is it needs the being or it needs the heart, which really brings out the needs or the adventures or the dreams of, okay, I want to go to the ocean. And this is my example. I want to go to the ocean because I forgot to 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 spend time at the ocean in the quality when I was younger. But I don't want to replace an experience I did in the past. I just want to create a new experience. And I have this longing to go to an ocean, to go to the Atlantic Ocean and jump into these big waves and be humbled by them. And
Mm,
this is not a recreation for me, as I sense it because and I want to do it. And yeah, so there's a
uh-huh.
for me. And I will see how it is in reality then when I'm there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's really that fire of you providing that,
Right.
of you sourcing that. The child ego state would really look like when, for example, you have this dream of going to the ocean and you told that like 10 times to your partner.
Mm.
It's like, dear, I really wish one day to go to the Atlantic because of this and because of that. And you know, in my childhood, and and then you're like waiting. When will in my next birthday he will invite me to the Atlantic? Will she think about that?
Yeah.
Will she make me a surprise? And is this really spectator waiting position of waiting to receive, waiting someone to make it safe for me so I can share my feelings,
Yeah, and I
or
know this.
waiting
Yeah.
someone to acknowledge me for what I'm gifting. And then it's like my existence depends on that, because for a child it's really like that. Like the existence depends on getting this met.
And what I noticed while listening to you is I did that also with a certain status, for example. When I have achieved this, then I can do this. And I was doing this dependency inside of me between my parent ego and my child ego. And that puts me into a situation where actually I was not able to do anything because I was playing a game inside of me that at this when I have achieved this or that, then I can do this or then I will experience that. And that's a trap. It's a lie. I'm creating that inside of I created that inside of myself and I'm stepping out right at the moment, more and more, step by step.
Happen there? Like what do you do?
Yeah, for example, the ocean thing. Right now I have different possibilities of getting to the ocean. I mean, I could hitchhike. I could even think about walking to the ocean. I can research flights. I can book a train ticket. I can ask someone else if he joins me. And before it was, no, I need to finish this project, make this amount of money, and then I can go to the ocean. And I was putting myself on a on a short leash or on a long leash. I don't know. I just, yeah, I just didn't make it possible. Even that I sense it. Okay, it's possible. It's easy to do. And
Hmm. And
yeah, go.
this what you're describing is a dynamic that happens, I notice very frequently, that the parent ego states wants to suppress
Yeah,
the child ego
right.
state. So um it because the parent ego state, a lot of times what I discovered in myself is that it reflects the parents we had internally and
Yes.
mirrors it, and most of the time it's pushing it down the to suppress needs. And what I hear about the tree house also from some people I hold space that goes to that space is that the space you're holding space for allows to uncompress this child
Mhm.
ego state needs. So
Yes.
like taking it off this parent ego state of you should not have these needs are wrong. You should not want to be loved. You should not want to be significant. You should not want to have certainty. This part that makes it wrong. And
Mhm.
you take it off and then you let it freely speak. So the awareness that actually this need is there can happen.
Yeah. And not only that, like the first thing is the recognition of the need. The second one is to really speak it out. And during this practice, we encourage to start with please from this child, like please, there is still this, but it's the first moment of speaking it out. And then I experience it's easier in the here and now as an adult to create it because it's freed up this imprint of I'm not possible to getting it or to receive it or nobody's doing it. And then there's this, okay, I can create it. And this is really a freeing up process. And
Mm-hmm.
also unfrozen process and giving voice and expression to something that is stored inside and freed up, yeah, and bring it to life. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. I one thing that I realized I think was like 2 months ago in one of the sessions that happened, my experiment that I'm still doing is to declare that I belong everywhere. I declare I belong to here, and this belongs to me. So I was renting, I left the session and I entered the car that I was renting for just 7 weeks. And I declared this inside of the car. I said, I belong to this car and this car belongs to me. So much fear came because the car was so dirty. For already 4 weeks, there was spider webs everywhere, and there was trash. And for 4 weeks, I've been numbing my anger and my sadness and my fear that I wanted actually to clean this car. And in my child ego state, I had that thing of, I don't belong here. Like I want to belong, and I can do anything to belong. I can do compromises. I can hide what I want. I can scan for how much this person would accept, and if this person accepts 50%, then I will make 45, because then the person will say yes. And all these games happens to get that sense of belonging. And then when I started doing this, it's like, okay, if I declared how is life, if I'm belonging to everything, it it's been really scary because I need to choose all the time what to do with my time. Because when I go to town and I say this town belongs to me, there are so many things that I want different.
Mhm.
Like in Takakai, it's a really small town here in New Zealand that I live close by, and I declared this town belongs to me. Man, like I wanted this concrete in the street to be demolished and to be planted trees. I wanted this hospital that was right there to be completely redesigned in a structure that is curved and that has forest inside of the hospital. And I just started having this bust of how many things I want different. And a lot of times gets overwhelming in the sense of I feel scared with the amount of impulses and ideas and possibilities. And I'm one of the skills that I'm learning is to navigate energy, like how to move and to navigate energy and choose what do I want now
Mm.
to use it, because otherwise, so uh as we are coming to an end, what I want to bring is that I find a fascinating journey about these five needs
Mm.
of how much power there is in us human beings reclaiming our power of creation and sourcing the life that we want and the culture that we want,
Yes.
and learning the skills that in the culture we grow up into did not prepare us for adulthood, into stepping into more responsibility.
Thank you, Gabriela. I, yeah, my thank you are my last words for this conversation. I actually they are don't. There are more I notice. Um, I feel joy about this conversation and also about the aliveness that you bring into it. And also what I noticed that it is about this aliveness of a being and a being which hasn't been cared for when we are childs most of the time in its fullest. Like it has been cared, we all survived, yes. And also a being that needs also the caring from an adult who holds it and who makes space for it. This is where I am at that I noticed, okay, as a child there weren't others who couldn't care of it. I wasn't in the position either, and now it's my job to really make space for it and to really explore the impulses and the needs and yeah, all that. And I feel joy about that. And thank you. I'm grateful about the conversation we just had about it and the doorways and possibilities that are there.
One more thing is that when you recognize a need, then it becomes a want.
Hmm.
And then from that place, it becomes creation. When you wait for the need to be met,
Hmm.
it keeps going as a need.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for inviting me, Christopher, for that conversation. I feel a lot of joy of speaking about that. I find this field very rich, and I feel a lot of joy of sharing what I've been finding out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I close this.
Goodbye for now.
Bye bye.